Well, how do I explain this? You know that feeling that you get when you're really excited to start something new, and then you go and you take a little peek and you realize, oh shit, uh, that's a lot. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we got this Flying V kit here. There's certain parts of it that I really like this neck here in particular is really well crafted. I don't think I'm going to have to do too much to it. It feels really nice. There's barely any problems with the frets. I wasn't expecting it to be dyed. It's supposed to be a rosewood fingerboard, and I think they dyed it with like Indian ink or something to make it black. But I go and I put this neck in the pocket, and immediately it's like, this doesn't seem right. And I go and I do some quick measurements. This and this are the lines that I got. And this was the center line that I found for the body. Yeah, way off center. Not only is the neck pocket off center, but pretty much everything in the routing is off center. First thing that we're gonna have to do to make this right is we're gonna have to plug these holes. I have some, what is this, Poplar? Yeah. I have some Poplar planks. I didn't want to call these people out, mainly because I didn't want Gibson's lawyers or something to go after them. I don't care at this point. These people have wronged me like 4 or 5 times. Every single thing that I've bought from them has been garbage. I am boycotting Guitar Fetish. I am never buying anything from them again. I know some people love them. They have great luck with Guitar Fetish. I don't. It's going to be a bit uneventful for a while. I'm going to have to make a hard edge corner on all these areas just so that it's easier to make wood plugs for them. Just basically making straight edges and cutting them out with a chisel. Okay, well that didn't take too long with the chisel. So now, why is that here? Now, we gotta start measuring these areas. Over here, probably seal that up too. This and that, measure those, and cut them all out on here. My plan this time was to just go very straightforward, do just a basic assembly, nothing fancy, no crazy modifications, just to say that I have one, that I did one, and I think I'm cursed. I'm gonna damn near test that with this build. There's gonna be no screw ups, no futzing around, just straightforward build, and we're gonna get it done. Promise. So, this is the result of my work making the wood plugs. It's not exactly perfect. At this stage, it doesn't really need to be. Okay, good news. The mailman showed up. And because he did, I now have Alnico bar magnets. But what are we doing with Alnico bar magnets? Well, we're gonna be changing some pickups. Remember these guys? I'm gonna be putting Alnico 5 in the bridge. I'm gonna be putting Alnico 2 into the neck. That's just the kind of configuration that I think sounds really well. What we have here is a sealed humbucker pickup. There's 2 little spots of weld on the back that you can cut through just with an X-Acto knife. All slugs, no screws. Because it has no screws, it's a little bit difficult to keep this thing on and in place, so I'm guessing that's why they had to fill it up with wax. What we really need, though, is to get on the underside. Okay, so we pop back off. Oh, we can pry it to the side. So that's the inside. You have the underside of the slugs, and you have a bar magnet. In this case, it is ceramic. So we're gonna encourage that magnet to leave, and in place of it, we're gonna put an Alnico 5. Can I tap it out? That seems dangerous. Let me just try and scrape it out first. And you see how it works is that the ceramic magnet is in contact with all of the pole pieces, and that's how they get magnetized. They're made of steel. Okay, I was successful in removing the magnet. I did have to tap it out with a hammer. We have our compass. We have our magnet. And I'm assuming that the red side is north. But the sides of the magnet are what comes in contact with the pole pieces. And so if we show the compass this side, it immediately goes to south. But if we flip the magnet over, it should come to north. So I'm just going to kind of guess which way this is supposed to go. No, it's a lot of wax just to fill in space. Don't really need these sidebars anymore because this magnet is the same height as the pole pieces. So these can come off and this can sit flush on the base. Let me get some extra electrical tape. Hold that together. Okay. So that's as good as it's going to get. We pop the top back on, and then we're going to have to reheat those solder joints. I might as well tell you the story about the Flying V. And this isn't so much the history of the Flying V, but more so my history and infatuation. So it all started a little over 10 years ago when I went to Sam Ash Music Store for the first time. It was like a kid in the candy store. I spent over 5 hours in that store, just looking around, playing, just having the time of my life. Probably the most impactful instrument that I played that day was a Gibson Flying V guitar. What made this one so particularly special might have been the fact that next to it was a cardboard stand that kind of advertised this Flying V as being a replica of the one that Kirk Hammett used when making Ride the Lightning, which at that time, Kirk Hammett was my favorite guitarist, and Ride the Lightning is my favorite Metallica album. So there was some magic behind that instrument, and when I picked it up and played it, you could say I really did ride the lightning, because it left such an impact with me that for many years I tried to capture that feeling again. And I did so by the means of trying to make my own Flying V. It was many years later when I first attempted to make a Flying V from a kit. That was back when Pitbull still had Flying V kits. But the ideas that I had in my head at that time were just so wrong. I completely ruined it, and I was able to get most of the modifications done. But at the end of the project, it's like, well, I don't like any of these, and I have no way of reverting it back to how it was. So I had to scrap the whole thing, actually. It was this neck was part of the project. The second attempt was with parts found off of eBay. That one had mixed results. I was never able to actually even have like a mock build, simply for the fact that I was trying to bypass having a two-pneumatic bridge. That was something that I tried to do on the first Flying V. I tried to have a 6-point Fender tremolo system, and that was before I really figured out that, like, hey, trem systems are cool, but like not that one. So the thing with the eBay Flying V is that I tried to have a wraparound bridge, much like this one. And the thing about that is you have to be really careful on how it's assembled and routed, because the body was a set neck, if I remember correctly, but the cavities for the pickups were very far into the body, and you had very little room to actually install a bridge that wasn't a Tune-o-matic. I think even a Tune-o-matic bridge would have had issues. So I couldn't really even get that off the ground, and that's fine, uh, because there was a lot of constructural issues that I made during that project. Actually, this neck was a part of that project. It was originally a square paddle, and I had cut it at an angle so that I could turn it into a reverse headstock. It almost worked. It almost worked. The big problem was that I had drilled this high E string way too low. The angle was way too sharp, and it just kept falling off the nut. If I moved forward with that project, I would have to fix this neck as well. And that would involve probably plugging this hole and moving it up to here somewhere, but chances are that probably would have broken off. Again, poor construction on my part. I think actually a better option would be to just plug all of them and move them up probably about a ½ inch. So this is attempt number 3 of making a Flying V, and like I said before, I didn't want to do anything fancy. I didn't want to modify anything. I didn't want this to happen. I just wanted it to be a very simple, straightforward process. Probably the most that I would have modified was just the pick guard, because I don't like the regular shape. Kind of like more of a traditional, what is it, like 58 style, where it has like the half pick guard. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like these whole pick guard faces. They can look good sometimes, but my own personal preference is, You're probably wondering why I have this. I don't know why I feel the need to justify the fact that I have made guitars that work. This is my Swan, and it's lovely and beautiful, and it's my favorite. This one will never get destroyed or taken apart or anything. Ignore this pickup cavity, that's empty. I removed this pickup from Swan, and it's actually going to be used in another build. This is my baby. It works. I shouldn't have to prove that I make things that work, but with the strand of things just not working for whatever reason, I feel like I need to back up that information. We are going to try our best to level out a lot of what's exposed and uneven about these plugs. I don't have any planers. I don't have any hand planes or anything. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a combination of files, chisels, and sandpaper. For the first time, I got an email back from Guitar Fetish. I reached out to them when I originally noticed that the neck was off center, and I showed them pictures of my measurements and my lines, and I asked them, hey, this is really off center for a symmetrical guitar body. That's kind of important. Is there any way that I could exchange this kit for another one? And if so, can you guarantee that the new one that you send isn't going to be like that? I'll briefly go over what they said. Firstly, no. Second of all, It's not off center. Third of all, it is not defective, and it is your problem. This would be so much easier if I had a planer. I don't apologize for the noise. That's something for future me to deal with. Probably can't see it, but the lights in my basement are flickering. Either we have a spooky guest, or there's a storm coming around. I don't know if you can see it or not while I'm working on it, but this has like a stupid cone. And so when you're trying to make things flush with a chisel, the cone just gets in the way and then starts to push the chisel down, like a downward angle. Very dumb. Is it absolutely perfectly straight and level? No. But with the tools that I have at my disposal, that's pretty good. Pretty damn close. Okay, so this is our body now. I can't believe they dyed the fretboard. They did a shitty job too. So from here, we are doing planning and sketching everything out. I'm thinking that we kind of take an approach of like a classic V-assembly. This was a bolt-on neck where the neck joint ended was right about there. When I had it in a test fit and I was just trying to get a feel for everything, I didn't like how high I had to bring my hand up to get to these parts over here. Because I'm going to modify this and turn it into a set neck. Set at maybe the 21st or 20th fret. We're gonna have it glue in probably to about the rest of this position. We're gonna have our neck pick guard right in front, and we're gonna have the bridge pickup moved up a little bit. The bridge will be probably back here. So now I also have to think about, like, you know, how deep do I want the neck, and the additional maple that I'm going to be putting onto this part here. Like, how much of this neck am I taking off to glue on this additional maple, or however it is that I decide to construct this extension for the neck. Then also eventually figure out the angle. But I have my work cut out for me. And it's going to take a lot of brain power.